A luxury car can lose most of its psychological value without losing a single feature. Think about that. The engine is identical, the leather is identical, the performance is identical. But put that same car somewhere nobody sees it, and suddenly something changes. That's because luxury depends on one thing: witnesses. Without witnesses, many luxury products become strangely less satisfying, and that should concern you, because the force behind luxury isn't really about money, or cars, or brands. It's something much older, a psychological mechanism that has shaped human behavior for thousands of years, a force powerful enough to influence what people buy, who they admire, and even who they become. The uncomfortable part? Most people think they're immune to it. Most people believe they're making independent choices. But what if some of your biggest decisions were never entirely yours? What if the crowd has been quietly shaping your desires for years without you ever noticing? Keep that question in your mind, because this isn't really a video about luxury, it's a video about status. And once you understand how status works, you won't be able to stop seeing it. The first lie is simple. People say they buy luxury because they appreciate quality. But let's test that. Imagine a luxury car worth $500,000. Now imagine the exact same car, same engine, same materials, same performance, same appearance. But nobody on earth knows the brand. Nobody recognizes it. Nobody turns their head when it drives by. Nobody is impressed. Here's the question: would it still feel worth $500,000? Don't answer too quickly, because this is where things start getting uncomfortable. The value suddenly feels different, even though nothing actually changed. And that's the first clue. Luxury companies don't just sell products, they sell recognition. The uncomfortable truth is that human beings are obsessed with signals, not because we're shallow, because we're ancient. For hundreds of thousands of years, your position inside the group determined your chances of survival. Higher status meant more protection, more resources, more influence, more opportunities. Status wasn't vanity. Status was survival. And evolution doesn't care that you live in a modern world. Your brain still runs ancient software that asks one question over and over again: where do I stand compared to everyone else? That's why people walk into a room and instantly start measuring, not consciously, automatically. Who's attractive? Who's respected? Who's powerful? Who's important? Who's above me? Who's below me? The disturbing part? This process begins before a single word is spoken. And luxury brands understand this better than most psychologists, because they're not selling cars. They're selling shortcuts. Shortcuts that instantly communicate status. But that's only the surface, because beneath the desire for status, there's something far more unsettling. Something most people never notice. There's a question luxury companies never want you to ask. What exactly are you paying for? Because the answer becomes very uncomfortable once you see it. At some point, luxury brands discovered something fascinating. Their customers weren't buying products. The purchase happens for another reason. Look closely at luxury advertisements. The people rarely smile, rarely laugh, rarely celebrate. They don't look happy. They look untouchable, calm, powerful, above everyone else. Why? Because happiness isn't the product. Status is. Luxury isn't selling ownership. It's selling elevation. The feeling of being one step higher than everyone around you. And here's where it gets disturbing. The moment everyone can have something, it starts losing its appeal. Think about that. If luxury was truly about quality, popularity should increase its value. But luxury often works in reverse. The more accessible something becomes, the less desirable it feels. Why? Because the invisible product was never quality. The invisible product was exclusivity. And exclusivity only exists when other people are excluded. Let that sink in. Many luxury purchases derive their value from separation. Not utility, separation, which leads to an experiment. An experiment that exposes something deeply uncomfortable about human nature. And once you see the result, you'll understand why status is far more powerful than most people realize. What if the status game never ended? What if someone simply found a way to make it impossible to escape? For most of human history, comparison had limits. You compared yourself to people you actually knew, your neighbors, your friends, your community. Then something changed. Social media removed the limits. Suddenly, your brain was competing with people on the other side of the world. People richer than you, more attractive than you, more successful than you, or at least that's what it looked like. And this is where luxury cars become important, because every time a Lamborghini appears on your screen, your brain pays attention. Not by choice, by design. Modern algorithms discovered that weakness and turned it into a business model, because status captures attention, and attention drives engagement. So the luxury cars, the mansions, the private jets, the perfect lifestyles keep appearing again and again. The result? Millions of people comparing their reality to carefully selected highlights from strangers they'll never meet, chasing standards they never created, playing a game they never agreed to play, and most never realize they're playing at all. There's a reason the feeling never lasts, and once you see it, the entire status game starts to look different. Imagine finally buying the luxury car you've wanted for years. For a moment, it feels incredible. You've made it. You've won. Then something unexpected happens. The feeling begins to fade, not because the car changed, because your reference point changed. Now someone has a faster car, a rarer car, a more expensive car, and the target moves again and again. This is the secret most people never notice. The problem isn't wanting more. The problem is believing the next upgrade will permanently satisfy you. Because status is relative, it only works through comparison. And comparison never ends. No matter how high you climb, someone appears higher. No matter how much you achieve, someone appears ahead. Which means millions of people spend years chasing a finish line that keeps moving. Not because they're irrational, because that's how the game works. And here's the unsettling part. The closer you get to the top, the more competitors you can suddenly see. But we still haven't reached the darkest part of the story. Because the real cost of status isn't money, it's something far more valuable. What if luxury cars were never the real story? What if the real battlefield exists inside the human mind? Humans don't crave possessions, they crave significance, recognition, proof that they matter. A luxury car doesn't just move people, it delivers a feeling, status, importance, visibility, and feelings are addictive. Soon the question changes from, do I want this? To, what will this say about me? That's the invisible trap. Your desires stop coming from within, they come from the audience. You think you're expressing yourself, but you're performing for invisible judges, trading authenticity for approval, and losing something far more valuable than money. So why do people buy luxury? Not because they want products, not because they want quality, not because they want utility. People buy luxury because they're buying a story. A story about who they are, a story about where they stand, a story about how they want to be perceived. But here's the revelation. The most powerful luxury item in the world isn't a watch, a car, a handbag, or a mansion. It's independence. The ability to desire something without needing approval. The ability to define success for yourself. The ability to remain untouched by manufactured status games. Because the rarest thing in a world obsessed with attention is a person who no longer needs it. And suddenly, the entire luxury industry looks different. The watch was never the product. The car was never the product. The brand was never the product. You were the product. Your attention, your insecurity, your comparison, your desire. That's what everyone was competing for. The real luxury was never ownership. The real luxury was freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from validation. Freedom from the endless need to prove yourself. And now the question returns one final time. Who is making your decisions? You or the crowd? Because the answer to that question doesn't just determine what you buy, it determines the life you build. And most people never realize they're choosing.